Listen, I love the Nintendo Switch as much as the next guy. It's the reason why my wallet is running dry by the week. It has a great library of games, something I can't really say about my phone, and it has some fun controllers which you can detach from the system itself to put onto a grip or some straps, something I can't really say about my arms. But whether or not you like the Switch, you gotta admit, does have its issues. The system as a whole feels cheap, especially with the dock, which is made of a hard plastic that can scratch the screen of your Switch, the stand, which can break off quite easily, and the Joy-Cons, which are small and uncomfortable to hold and are infamously known to drift due to hardware issues or the buildup of dust. If there's anything to take away from this, never tell someone to eat your dust because they're probably going to start running into walls. Not to mention, the Switch only has around 4 GB of RAM and 32 GB of storage, making it a little less powerful than the competition from Microsoft and Sony. The original Switch was not a perfect console, just like everything that ever existed, including my own existence. It had problems that needed to be fixed, and with the release of the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 in 2020, it was clear that Nintendo had to do something about it as soon as possible. And they sure did a thing, I'll give them that. For the longest time, there have been rumors and leaks of a brand new, more powerful Nintendo Switch model, dubbed the Switch Pro, with a wider screen display designed for 4K resolutions, and overall better specs for running much more demanding games. It was rumored to be announced before E3, but if you're a Nintendo fan, you'd know, we never get nice things. But on the 6th of July, almost a full month after E3, Nintendo finally unveiled the fabled Switch Pro, or at least what we can assume is the Switch Pro. The Nintendo Switch OLED model. To be honest, that name kind of sucks, but you know, it is what it is. The Nintendo Switch OLED model, or the Switch OLED as I'll be referring to it from this point forward, is an upgrade, upgrade of the original Nintendo Switch model with a whole host of brand spanking new features. Were these features what the quote-unquote industry insiders promised we would get from the Switch Pro? No! But the fact that this thing has features is better than it not having any features at all. So let's talk about them. Want a better display? Well, the Switch OLED screen is 7 inches as opposed to 6.2 inches, and, as the name suggests, it has an OLED screen allowing for more vibrant colors. Tired of that pesky kickstand snapping off? Well, now there's a kickstand the width of the entire goddamn system which you can adjust to your liking. Want your game's audio to be enhanced while playing in handheld mode? Well, now you can enjoy crystal clear sounds with the new onboard speakers. Don't want to have to buy a separate LAN adapter? Well, the Switch OLED is the first Nintendo console to ever have a built-in LAN port. Now, was that really that hard, Nintendo? Want extra storage space? Here, have an extra 32 GB. Want better Joy-Cons? Go fuck yourself. Wait, what's this? A new Switch model, but the Joy-Cons are practically the same as the original? I mean, who would have thought? It's Nintendo. Okay, but seriously though, I find it very strange that Nintendo creates a brand new Switch model, but they don't even do anything to improve upon the Joy-Cons. They're still the size of toilet roll tubes, they don't have a proper D-pad like on the Switch Lite, and they don't have any parts that make gripping them a lot easier, like a bump on the bottom half or whatever. I think the bare minimum they could have done is make them a little bit wider, but come on, this is Nintendo we're talking about, and if you've been following them for a long time, you'd know that they only ever decide to do the bare minimum when they damn well please. But the thing that scares me most about the Joy-Cons and the Switch OLED is the fact that because pretty much nothing is different about them, they're more than likely prone to drifting. Nintendo has gone on record to state that they don't know what cars do when a driver intentionally steers too much, so I can see them not giving two shits about proving upon these toilet roll tube looking ass controllers. Another problem I have with the Switch OLED is the fact that most of the improvements made over the original model seem to be only made with handheld mode in mind. Nowadays, I almost always play my Switch in TV mode. Only on very rare occasions when I'm going on holiday or going around to a friend's house do I ever bring it out with me. Yeah, I don't have much of a social life these days, and I blame cataracts for it. So I'd argue if you only ever use the Switch in TV mode and never bring it out with you at all, the Switch OLED is just not worth it, because pretty much nothing will be different about the TV mode experience. Okay, maybe the LAN port and the 64 GB of storage space will make it a little bit better, but that's it. Speaking of the 64 GB of storage space, the Switch OLED has 64 GB of storage space. Yeah, I too was worried it had the bubonic plague. The original Switch model storage space was around 32 GB, which isn't much, but the problem was easily fixable by getting a micro SD card. 64 GB is still not enough, considering it's just an extra 32 GB. I think the storage space should have been at the very least 128 gigabytes. Another thing that terrifies me about this thing is the dock. As far as I'm aware, it seems to be made of the same material as the original dock, or at the very least, a similar material. I really don't want to have to buy a screen protector for the system or some padding for the dock. I hope Nintendo learned their lesson so I don't scratch the fucking screen. Oh, and another thing, I don't think I'd benefit from the built-in LAN port, because a lot of the time when I'm playing games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I don't need an Ethernet cable. Not to mention I don't live in 2006, Nintendo. Oh, and also, the LAN port replaces the USB port. I don't use the USB port on my Switch, but honestly, it's a bummer for those who want to use something like a wired GameCube controller for games like Smash Ultimate. Okay, I think I've talked negatively about this thing for long enough. Let's go over some positives. For starters, I'm impressed by the wider screen display. I always thought the original model's 6.2-inch display was a little small, and although I wish the Switch OLED display was a tiny bit bigger, I'll settle for 7 inches any day. Just like my dick. Not to mention the colors are going to be way more contrasted, which is nice. I'm also relieved that we're getting a bigger kickstand that you can adjust, which means it shouldn't break off too easily. Or at least I hope so. I used the kickstand on my original Switch quite frequently when I first got it, and it's definitely showing some age because it's come a bit loose with the amount of times it snapped off. Also, I don't have much to say about the onboard speakers since we don't know a whole lot about them aside from the fact that they allow for better audio in handheld mode, but I will say it's a welcome addition. And I know I just talked shit about the 64 gigabytes of storage space. Yes, I'm still mad it doesn't have the bubonic plague, but I'd say if you're not going to play that many games on this thing, 64 gigabytes should be enough. And besides, if you ever wanted more storage space, you could always buy a micro SD card. It's not a big deal. And the battery life. Oh man, I forgot to talk about battery life all throughout this video. I'm a fucking idiot. I have an original 2017 Switch model which has a measly 2.5 to 6.5 hours of battery life. Meanwhile, the Switch OLED has 4.5 to 9 hours of battery life, which is a massive improvement even if it's the same as the revised 2019 model's battery life. And so, with all that out of the way, what are my overall initial thoughts on the Switch OLED? Well, to be honest, I have pretty mixed feelings about it. To summarize my thoughts, I like the new additions of the wider display, the bigger kickstand, and the onboard speakers, as well as the improved battery life. However, absolutely no changes were made to the Joy-Cons, meaning they're prone to drifting. Very little was done to improve the TV mode experience. The material used for the new dock is worrisome, and the LAN port outright replaces the USB port, meaning you can no longer use devices that have USB plugs. The thing I'm very mixed about is the expanded storage space. I think it's just enough if you don't play many Switch games, but I also think it's not enough at all if you want to play more games. If the storage space was at least 128 gigabytes, then I would be more positive about it. At the time of me making this video, I'm still thinking about whether or not I want to get it. If I do, then it probably won't be until Christmas because I might not have the money to get it in October when it comes out. I might get it for the battery life and all the extra additions to handheld play, but considering the Joy-Cons are no different and the fact that there's no changes made to TV play, I probably won't, but I don't know, we'll see. And with that, those are my initial thoughts on the Switch OLED. I would have liked to get this video out around the time of this thing's announcement, but hey, better late than never, I suppose. Now if you excuse me, I'm off to dehydrate my wallet for the 4th week in a row and go bankrupt!